Here are your 15 follow-up tips for getting people to reply, but also how to follow up the right way, because there are lots of ways that we can follow up, but I want to make sure that your ways are effective. Number one, never assume that silence means not interested. Think about yourself. How quickly do you respond to an email? How quickly do you respond to a Facebook message? Right? Just because it's top of mind in your mind doesn't necessarily mean that it's top of mind in someone else's mind. So, when the person that you're talking to it's not at the top of their to-do list, people. So don't assume that silence means not interested. That's my tip number one. Tip number two, get their attention. And one way that you can do that is to be, I like to say in their face, kind of be in their face. Make sure that that you are bringing yourself to the top of their mind. So you can do a couple of things. Of course, liking comments is okay, but I don't always see all the people who puts a thumbs up on my comments. What I do notice is when someone comments on a comment that I've made, a post that I've made, or if they just go and tag me and comment on my wall, that is going to be a really, really effective way of getting someone's attention. Not necessarily meaning that you are, thank you for the hearts, my dear, not necessarily meaning that you are posting about anything to do with business or anything like that, but one great way to get someone's attention is to post on their wall. Of course, if there's a fast approaching deadline, then you can go to their wall and say, hey, so-and-so, tag them. Go to your messages. I sent you an urgent message. Okay, so that's another tip for getting their attention and helping them to respond. Number three, send a did you get it message. So, if you're anything like me, sometimes I'm answering Facebook messages and all of a sudden I realize, oh my gosh, I have all these unread messages. Or actually they look like they've been read because I clicked on them, but I never responded. So I'm sure that happens to other people too. So make sure that you're sending little did you get it messages. You can send a text, of course. That's probably the fastest, most effective way to get people's attention. But also you can just send a quick, hey, I don't know if you got my last message, but let me know. Or, hey, did you happen to go over and check your email out? Anything like that. Number 4 of my 15 tips for following up is to use the scripts. There is a method and some little follow-up tips. So you can use those. Of course, you want to make them sound like you. Don't completely reinvent the wheel. Use what works. But use the scripts. That's going to help you because it'll give you a formula and a format of when, because it does say like 72 hours, etc. So it kind of gives you an idea of when you need to follow up and how often too. Number 5 is 7 to 10 times. 7 to 10 times. What does that mean? Typically, somebody has to be exposed to something a minimum of 7 to 10 times before making a purchasing decision. So think about how many times you typically follow up with somebody. It's probably a lot less than 7 to 10 times. If you're anything like most of us, we'll follow up once, twice, and then, oh no, don't want to seem pushy. But here's the deal, guys. Number 1, this is your business. Number 2, you're not being pushy if you're trying to help somebody, right? So I want you to flip the script that's going on in your head, okay? Flip the mindset of, I don't want to be pushy, because yes, of course, you're going to get some financial benefit out of this, but think about this. The only way that you can be successful is if you help that person with their product, their program, if you help them become more healthy, if you help them become a coach and start their own business. That's the only way that you can be successful at this. So it's not being selfish. It would be selfish if you were selling something that you didn't care about, that somebody didn't need, and you were trying to convince people to buy something that they didn't need, that isn't going to, make their life any better. It's not going to make them better in their relationships. So just think about it like that. I like to think about the coaching opportunity as a cure for bankruptcy, as a way out of having to work long hours so I can spend more time with my kids. I like to think of the coaching opportunity as a way to help other moms be better moms, to not be so tired, to not be so spent, to invest in their relationships a lot more. So that is it's like a cure for being tired. It's a cure for being broke. It's a cure for so many health issues too. So that's how I think of this. I want you to kind of flip the script that's going on in your head and how you're thinking about this, because you're not being pushy. You're trying to help them. Okay. So when you're following up with them, usually somebody has to see something or be exposed to it a minimum of 7 to 10 times. It doesn't mean that you just keep going back to the same person and going, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you read it? Did you read it? What do you think? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this now? How about next month? Are you going to do next month? Are you going to do this month? Oh my gosh. Some of these follow-ups can just be, hey, I saw that you got a new dog. That's fantastic. How is life going training your new puppy? I don't know, right? So some of your follow-ups can just be friendly. Tip number 6. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up, guys. Tip number 6 is to be interested in them. So once again, be interested in their life. Because you know what? I'm going to seem pretty cold if I keep trying to follow up with them if they've been posting for the last 2 weeks on their Facebook wall about being in the hospital with their father and not being able to cope with life or whatever, right? That's going to make me seem obviously like I'm not paying attention to them. Thanks for the hearts. You guys are so sweet. And you want to be interested in them because you want to help them, right? It's, of course, this is a numbers game. This is about following our dreams, our passions, and getting things done and living our lives to our potential. But the only way for you to get there is to help other people. And the only way that you can help other people is to have compassion and to honestly care about where they are in their life. So do a little bit of research and make sure that you're following up on them. Tip 7, go back to their why. So when you're following up with them, go back to what they told you. Why do they want to, why do they want to do this? Why do they want to lose the weight? What's important to them? And I want you to think of their why as an onion. And that sounds disgusting. But think of their why as an onion. Every single time they say, I want to lose weight. Why is that? You peel a layer of the onion back. Why do you want to lose weight? Because I'm tired all the time. Okay, peel a layer back. Well, why do you want more energy? Why, what? Because I am irritable with my children. Okay, then peel another layer of the onion. Why is that important to you? Because I want to be a good mom. Okay, peel another layer, and you keep going and keep going and keep going until you find that real why. And the true why is connected not to a number on a scale, not to a dress size. It's connected to emotion and the way that person feels. So you need to keep peeling the onion until you find that place of where you've truly reached the emotional why, the underlying why. They might not even realize what it is, so this might take some work. But that's your job. Because the only way that you're going to help them is to help them understand that you are interested in them and that you know how to help them and that you help them uncover their why. The stronger their why is, the stronger their reasons for jumping on board and being in this with you. Okay, so that's tip number 7, to go back to their why. Tip number 8 is to end every message with a question. So if your conversations have grown silent, you might put questions at the top. Okay, I always go back, reread my conversation with that person, especially in Messenger, and I make sure that every single conversation ends with a question. Make sure that it's a question that's not open-ended, that makes them go like this, If it's a question that's going to make them think too hard, then don't do it, right? So make sure it's a question that is quick. It's like a yes or no, which goes right into my tip number 9, is to never say, let me know. Let me know. Hey, if you ever need any help, reach out. Let me know. You don't go there. No. That's like handing somebody a business card. You know what's going to happen with that? It's going to go in the trash. It's going to go in the trash, okay? How many business cards do you keep? I don't keep them. I throw them away, right? If it's somebody that's really, really, I think maybe I've only entered their contact information into my phone maybe once. Oh my gosh, out of how many business cards? So a let me know is not an effective tool. I'll tell you what is. A yes or no question. So if you end your, say this is just a very brief first encounter, somebody says, hey, I saw you post about your 7-day. Can you tell me a little bit about it? And I say, sure, I'll let you know a little bit about it. And I give them like 5 points. And then I ask them a yes or no question. Would you like more information? That is a yes or no question. Would you like information? Would you like more information? How about we get you started? What is a good way to get you started, right? So that's tip number 9 is don't say let me know. Always end with a yes or no question. So tip number 10 is to give 2 options. So say for instance, you're kind of at that point where you feel like this person is ready to make a move, then you want to give them 2 options. So for instance, I had some people that missed the cutoff for the 7-day. So I went back to them and I said, hey, look, you know what? We missed the cutoff for the 7-day. I do have a 21-day group coming up. I can give you information on that. Or if you're still interested in possibly doing a 7-day, let me know and I will get you information when I run that one next. Which sounds better to you? And I give them 2 options. Which sounds better to you? Information on the 21-day group or information when I run another 7-day group? Okay, so I give them 2 options. Here's another great example. Say you're on the phone with somebody and it's their first time hearing about being a coach, and you're talking to them about being a coach and doing this business. So you want to end the conversation by scheduling the next follow-up. So in order to do that, right, because you always end a conversation with a question, you want to keep the conversation going, you want to keep it open. Remember, 7 to 10 follow-ups before people typically make a decision. So here's how you do that in the formula of you're talking to somebody about being a coach, right? You kind of get the sense that they're not really ready yet to jump on board. So you say this. So how about this? I can either send you a presentation that explains this, really, really in detail. It's about 20 minutes long. Or we can schedule a 3-way call with my business partner, the person who introduced me into the business, and she'll be able to answer all the questions that you have. Which sounds better to you? Again, you give them 2 options. So tip number 10 is give 2 options. Would you like to watch a presentation? Or would you like to get on the phone with my business partner? You give them 2 options, right? You don't say, what do you want to do now? Or do you want, you don't want to leave it open-ended. You always give 2 options because that's going to help them. Here's another way. Oh, hey, I'd love to talk to you about that. So let's go ahead and set up a call when we can discuss XYZ. How's Wednesday? Is Wednesday morning good for you, or is the evening better for you? You give them 2 options. Okay, so that's follow-up tip number 10. Always give 2 options when you're trying to get to the next part in the conversation, because that is really going to help you out. Tip number 11 is this one's so simple, you guys, but OMG, it works so well. Use the words, let's get you started. So when you start to feel like maybe they're ready, but you're not quite sure, then use the words, hey, let's get you started. I'd love to get you started right away. As opposed to saying, once you buy your package, right? People have negative connotations with the word buy. People have negative connotations with the words sign up. So that's why I really like to use the words registration. Like when I'm doing my challenge groups, I always say, let's get you registration deadline is here. Or I don't say you have to buy this time, right? So that's really important for you to understand let's get you started sounds really non-intrusive. It sounds really non-threatening, and it's a really positive way to state, hey, let's get you going. Let's do this. Let's make the next move. Let's get you started. All right. Another great way, if you're talking about the coaching opportunity, Janelle always uses this. Janelle Summers, she always says, have you ever considered doing what I do? Have you ever considered doing a challenge group? Have you ever considered doing an accountability group? So let's get you started. Have you ever considered? Those are really great ways to get to the next step in the conversation. All right. So tip number 12 is to create urgency. And of course, one way that we do that is by using our calendar, right? Because that automatically creates urgency. So it helps you when you're working from a calendar. It's not just an open-ended date. You have start dates. You have registration deadlines. You have that already set. And if you're working with a calendar that's non-negotiable, then that's going to create urgency. And then you can go back to them and say, oh my gosh, that deadline is coming up. We're definitely going to close soon, so let's do this. So you want to create urgency. Tip number 13, I want you to remember that you don't need them. People can smell, what is that word? What is that word? They know when you're being desperate. That's the word. They can smell it when you're just trying to make a sale. When you see them as a dollar sign, when you see them as a number. And I know that this is a numbers game, and the only way that you can get Success Club points is by selling challenge packs and selling, and I know that. Of course, at the end of the day, it all comes down to sales, but you're not going to be able to make a sale in this business if you're not invested in somebody else's why. So you don't need them. They need this. They need what you have to offer. They need to feel healthier. 2/3 of the world is obese or overweight. They need what you have to offer. Most of the country is in financial ruins. They need what you have to offer. They need this. But they need our help in believing in them and helping them to understand that, helping them to figure out that this is what they need. Okay? So it's our job to educate and connect the dots for people and to believe in people, encourage people. Okay? That's our job. Tip number 14 is what's in it for them. If you've ever seen this acronym, WIFM, WIIFM, what's in it for me? That means to keep the focus on them. Okay? Yes, your testimonials are fantastic. You need those. I'm drinking Shakeology 3 days and I have more energy. That's a testimonial. All right. So you got to keep it about them. What's in it for them, and make sure that you're interested in them. Tip number 15, last tip. So excited. Just be their friend. Don't disappear on them and only show up again when, don't disappear and just show up every time you have a challenge group. Make sure that you're their friend. Make sure that you're communicating with them on a friend level. That's really going to help.